Sarah gripped the flyer in her trembling hands, the words CEAC and DSAST emblazoned across the top in bold red letters. Her heart raced as she read the demands from the HOA board. They were ordering her to remove the vibrant family mural that adorned the side of her home within 30 days, or face legal action. Tears welled in her eyes as she thought of the hours of painstaking work her son, a local artist, had poured into the mural. It was a celebration of their family's diversity and unity, a stunning work of art that had become the pride of their tight-knit neighborhood. And now, the HOA was threatening to tear it all down. Furious, Sarah stormed out of her house, determination etched on her face. She marched straight to the home of the HOA president, Mrs. Wilkins, a woman notorious for her draconian enforcement of petty rules. Sarah pounded on the door, ready to give her a piece of her mind. The door swung open, and Mrs. Wilkins greeted her with a condescending smile. "Can I help you, Sarah?" she asked, her tone dripping with false sweetness. "How dare you demand that I remove my son's mural?" Sarah spat, thrusting the cease and desist order in Mrs. Wilkins' face. "This is an outrage. That mural is a beautiful representation of our family and our community. You have no right to take that away from us." Mrs. Wilkins' expression hardened. "The mural is in violation of our neighborhood covenants," she said, her voice calm and unyielding. "It's an eyesore that detracts from the aesthetic of the community. I'm sure you can understand that we need to maintain a certain level of uniformity." Sarah felt her blood boil. "Uniformity," she scoffed. "This isn't some cookie-cutter development. This is our home, and that mural is a reflection of who we are. You can't just erase that because it doesn't fit your narrow-minded vision of acceptable art." The two women glared at each other, their clash of wills palpable in the air. Sarah knew she had to find a way to save her son's masterpiece, but the thought of taking on the powerful HOA filled her with dread. Sarah returned home, her mind racing with strategies to fight the HOA's demands. She knew she couldn't give in without a fight. This mural meant everything to her family, and she refused to let it be erased without a battle. As she paced the living room, her son, Ethan, walked in, a concerned look on his face. "Mom, what's wrong?" he asked, seeing the distress etched on her features. Sarah quickly explained the situation, watching as Ethan's expression shifted from confusion to outrage. "They can't do that," he exclaimed, his voice laced with disbelief. "That mural is my best work. It's a representation of our family and our values. How can they just demand that we take it down?" Ethan's eyes narrowed as he considered the gravity of the situation. "We have to fight this, Mom. This mural isn't just a decoration. It's a symbol of who we are. We can't let them erase that without a fight." Sarah nodded, her resolve strengthening. "I know, honey. That's why I'm going to do everything in my power to save it. We're not going down without a battle." The two of them spent the next few days strategizing, brainstorming ways to rally the community and put pressure on the HOA. They reached out to local media outlets, hoping to generate public support for their cause, and organized a neighborhood meeting to discuss the issue. As the meeting date approached, Sarah and Ethan could feel the tension in the air. They knew that the outcome of this gathering would be crucial in determining the fate of the mural, and they were determined to give it their all. When the night finally arrived, Sarah and Ethan entered the community center, bracing themselves for a confrontation with the HOA board. The room was packed, and the air crackled with a palpable sense of unease. As Sarah and Ethan took their seats, Mrs. Wilkins stood at the front of the room, her expression stern and unyielding. "Thank you all for coming tonight," she began, her voice echoing through the tense silence. "We're here to discuss an issue that has been causing some concern in our community, the mural on the side of the Smith family's home." A murmur rippled through the crowd, and Sarah felt Ethan's hand tighten around hers. She knew this was their moment to make their case and rally the community to their side. When Mrs. Wilkins finished her opening remarks, Sarah stood up, her chin held high. "Neighbors, "I'm here tonight to ask for your support," she said, her voice steady and determined. "This mural that the HOA is demanding we take down is not just a piece of art. It's a representation of our family's diversity and the strength of our community." She gestured to Ethan, who stepped forward, his eyes shining with passion. "My mom is right," he said, his gaze sweeping across the room. "This mural is my creation, and it's a celebration of who we are. It's a testament to the rich tapestry of cultures and backgrounds that make up our neighborhood." The crowd erupted in a smattering of applause, and Sarah could feel a surge of hope rising within her. She knew that if they could sway the community to their side, the HOA would have a much harder time enforcing their demands. But Mrs. Wilkins was quick to interject, her voice cutting through the applause. "While we appreciate the artistic merit of the mural, the fact remains that it violates our community covenants," she said, her tone uncompromising. "We have a responsibility to maintain the aesthetic standards of our neighborhood, and this mural simply doesn't fit that criteria." The room fell silent, and Sarah could feel the weight of the decision bearing down on her. She knew that this was a pivotal moment, and she had to find a way to convince the community to stand with her and Ethan. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped forward, her eyes scanning the faces of her neighbors. "I understand the importance of maintaining community standards," she said, her voice firm and resolute. "But this mural isn't just a random piece of art. It's a reflection of our family's values and our commitment to diversity." She turned to Ethan, placing a hand on his shoulder. "My son is a talented artist who has poured his heart and soul into this work. It's not just a decoration. It's a symbol of our community's unity and the richness of our shared experiences." The crowd murmured in agreement, and Sarah could see the tide starting to turn in her favor. She pressed on, her passion igniting the room. "This mural isn't an eyesore or a detriment to our neighborhood," she said, her voice rising with conviction. "It's a celebration of who we are, a diverse, vibrant community that embraces the beauty in our differences." Mrs. Wilkins opened her mouth to respond, but before she could speak, a voice from the back of the room cut through the tension. "I think the mural is beautiful," said Mrs. Anita, a longtime resident of the neighborhood. "It brings a sense of joy and pride to our community. Why should we erase that just because it doesn't fit some arbitrary standard of acceptable art?" A chorus of murmurs and applause erupted, and Sarah could feel the momentum shifting in their favor. She knew that this was their chance to turn the tide and save the mural, but she also knew that the battle was far from over. As the meeting drew to a close, Sarah and Ethan left the community center, their hearts racing with a mix of hope and trepidation. They had taken the first step in their fight, but they knew that the HOA was a formidable opponent, and they would have to be prepared for a long and difficult battle ahead. In the days that followed, Sarah and Ethan continued their efforts to rally community support for the mural. They reached out to local artists, community leaders, and even the mayor's office, hoping to build a coalition that could put pressure on the HOA. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with many neighbors expressing their admiration for the mural and their support for the Smith family's fight. Ethan's artwork had become a rallying cry for the community, a symbol of their shared values and their refusal to be bullied by the HOA. But despite the growing groundswell of support, Mrs. Wilkins and the HOA board remained steadfast in their demands. They issued a series of increasingly aggressive letters, threatening legal action and fines if the mural was not removed. Sarah and Ethan knew that they were running out of time, and they decided to take their case directly to the HOA board. They gathered a group of their most vocal supporters and marched to the next HOA meeting, determined to make their voices heard. As they entered the meeting room, the tension was palpable. Mrs. Wilkins and the other board members eyed them warily, their expressions guarded and unyielding. Sarah stepped forward, her eyes burning with determination. "We're here today to ask you to reconsider your decision," she said, her voice steady and unwavering. "This mural isn't just a piece of art. It's a symbol of our community's values and our commitment to diversity." She gestured to the group of supporters behind her, their faces etched with a mix of defiance and hope. These people, our neighbors, have come here to show their support for the mural. They understand the importance of celebrating our differences and embracing the richness of our community. Mrs. Wilkins frowned, her brow furrowed in a mix of concern and annoyance. "I understand your passion, Sarah," she said, her tone measured and controlled. "But the fact remains that this mural is in violation of our community covenants. We have a responsibility to uphold the rules and maintain the aesthetic standards of our neighborhood." Sarah felt her heart sink, but she refused to give up. "Rules can be changed, Mrs. Wilkins," she said, her voice tinged with a hint of desperation. "This mural isn't just about art. It's about the values that define our community. Aren't those more important than any arbitrary set of rules?" The room fell silent, the tension palpable as the HOA board members exchanged glances. Sarah held her breath, hoping that her words had struck a chord with them. After what felt like an eternity, Mrs. Wilkins cleared her throat and spoke up, her expression softening slightly. "I understand your point, Sarah," she said, her voice surprisingly measured. "And I'll admit, the mural is a beautiful piece of art that adds something special to our community." Sarah felt a flicker of hope ignite within her, but she held her tongue, waiting for Mrs. Wilkins to continue. "However," the HOA president went on, "our covenants are in place for a reason. They exist to maintain a certain level of uniformity and cohesion within our neighborhood. And as much as I appreciate the artistic merit of your son's work, I'm afraid I can't simply overlook the fact that it violates those covenants." Sarah opened her mouth to protest, but Mrs. Wilkins raised a hand, silencing her. "But," she said, a hint of a smile playing at the corners of her lips, "perhaps we could find a compromise." Sarah's eyes widened in surprise, and she leaned forward, hanging on Mrs. Wilkins' every word. "What if we were to create a special exception for the mural, allowing it to remain as a unique and celebrated piece of art within our community?" the HOA president suggested. "We could even work with you and Ethan to find a way to incorporate it into our overall aesthetic guidelines, so that it complements the rest of the neighborhood." The room erupted in a mix of murmurs and applause, and Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. Ethan, standing beside her, beamed with pride and gratitude. "We would be more than happy to work with you on that, Mrs. Wilkins," Sarah said, her voice thick with emotion. "This mural means the world to us, and we're grateful for your willingness to find a solution that works for everyone." As the meeting adjourned, Sarah and Ethan embraced, their hearts filled with a sense of triumph and relief. They had fought a hard-won battle, and they knew that their family's mural would continue to be a cherished part of their community for years to come. In the weeks that followed, Sarah and Ethan worked closely with the HOA board to find a way to incorporate the mural into the neighborhood's aesthetic guidelines. It was a delicate and at times tense process, but both sides were determined to find a solution that would preserve the artwork while maintaining the overall character of the community. After much discussion and compromise, they settled on a plan that would allow the mural to remain, but with some subtle modifications to ensure it complemented the surrounding homes. Ethan agreed to add a few additional elements that mirrored the architectural details of the neighboring houses, and the HOA promised to work with the family to highlight the mural as a unique and celebrated piece of art within the community. As the final touches were put in place, the neighborhood gathered to celebrate the mural's official unveiling. Neighbors from all walks of life came together, marveling at the vibrant colors and the intricate details that told the story of the Smith family's diverse heritage. Sarah stood back, watching with pride as Ethan beamed with joy, his creation now a beloved part of the community he loved so dearly. She knew that the battle had been hard fought, but the victory was all the sweeter for it. "I'm so proud of you, honey," she said, wrapping her arm around her son's shoulders. "This mural is a testament to your talent and your vision, and it's a symbol of the strength and diversity of our community." Ethan smiled, his eyes sparkling with tears of joy. "Thanks, Mom," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you. This mural is as much yours as it is mine." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood, Sarah and Ethan knew that their family's story had become a part of the fabric of their community. The mural, once a source of conflict, had now become a unifying force, a reminder that the strength of a community lies in its ability to embrace and celebrate its differences. And as they watched their neighbors come together to admire the artwork, Sarah and Ethan knew that their fight had been worth it. They had stood up for their values, and in doing so, they had inspired their community to do the same. In the months that followed, the mural became a source of pride and joy for the entire neighborhood. Visitors from across the city would come to admire its vibrant colors and intricate details, and the Smith family story became a celebrated part of the community's history. Sarah and Ethan continued to work closely with the HOA, finding new ways to showcase the mural and integrate it into the fabric of the neighborhood. They organized art festivals, community events, and educational programs that highlighted the importance of diversity and self-expression. The once contentious relationship between the Smith family and the HOA board slowly transformed into one of mutual respect and collaboration. Mrs. Wilkins, once seen as the villain, became a champion of the mural, using her influence to secure funding for its maintenance and promotion. For Sarah and Ethan, the victory was bittersweet. They had fought hard to preserve their family's legacy, but the process had been fraught with challenges and setbacks. Yet, in the end, they had emerged victorious, their art and their values not only preserved but celebrated by the community they loved. As they stood before the mural, taking in its vibrant colors and the stories it told, Sarah and Ethan knew that their fight had been worth it. The mural was not just a piece of art. It was a symbol of their family's resilience, their commitment to their community, and their unwavering belief in the power of self-expression. And in that moment, they knew that their story, like the mural itself, would continue to inspire and uplift those who came after them, a testament to the power of standing up for what you believe in, no matter the odds.